We are still very much battling and searching for ways to live with the lions, and that remains to be one of the biggest problems.
How do you see the future of the desert lions?
Look, I see the future of the desert lions has got problems in terms of finding a balance within this very arid, very sort of fluctuating ecosystem and living with people. It's a major conflict. It's an area that's incredibly arid. The resources are scarce, and the balance between wildlife and livestock farming in the area is a difficult balance to maintain. But the fact that all the parties have the same goal, have the same interest, and there's an enormous amount of collaboration and assistance that is provided for the various parties, particularly the conservancies and the local communities that live on the land. Tour operators have become really responsible in that sense, in providing support and also involving the communities at that level. Each of the major tourism concessions have to work closely with those conservancies. They have to pay annual sort of concession fees, so the conservancies and the communities receive significant benefits. It's about the distribution of those benefits right down to the communities that live on the ground with the lions is the real issue, and that is being improved on a daily basis. We were fortunate in having a couple of the lion rangers with us during the earlier dartings in the Hoop. And there we had some really nice interactions. The training that takes place, with them working with a lion, measuring, collecting biological information, and allowing them to essentially become really familiar with the lions that live in the area. So they know all the individual lions. It's not just a lion that killed a donkey. They know that individual lion. They've known it for some years. So we really want to build on that sort of almost personal association that they have with the animals, and they're responsible to go out whenever there's a conflict problem and respond immediately and go and assist the community, see what the problem is, what advice they can give on the ground. As I mentioned earlier, that really is a program that's very much in development. And we foresee the fact that we will really build on the lion ranges throughout the distribution of the lions and where conflict occurs, and in time get the people really skilled and knowledgeable of how to prevent problems. And in the meantime, we're collecting a lot of information on the movement patterns of the lions. So we've gained a really good understanding of why these conflict problems occur, and then how to solve them effectively. We will never be able to prevent all livestock losses and all conflicts, but if we can minimize it to a manageable level where the income generated from the lions through tourism exceeds the losses financially and also the personal impact that it has. If we can reach that balance, which I really do believe we have, the future for lion conservation and their role in this ecosystem is really good.
I'm very much positive. I think the future of lions in these areas is in good hands, provided that farmers and the NGOs, the tourism sectors, everyone is doing something for the protection of these lions. You see, the biggest thing, I think farmers plays a very big role in the conservation of these lions, because the amount of, sometimes if you look even backwards, before we started with these mitigation measures, the number of losses, livestock losses farmers experience outweighs anything that you can come from lions. But they still managed to still have lions, not killing them, but still living with these lions. So if everyone now can, especially at this moment when livestock and farming has become so difficult for farmers, and we can make this an alternative of way of livelihood for the farmers themselves, and they get involved the way in some of these areas they have been involved, but if we all bring this together and work for one common goal, maybe conservation and tourism, then these animals will be in good hands.
I think that a large number of people in this northwestern part of the country in the future will derive benefits from the wildlife. I think climate change is just going to make it very, very difficult or very impossible to farm under conventional belief systems. I don't think that's going to work long. Look, we're talking 20, 30 years. And I believe that iconic species like lions, rhinos, elephants, leopards, these sort of species, and we've seen all of those tracks and some of those animals in this incredible arid area. Those animals are going to bring income and benefits, increasing benefits to people. And it's these sort of areas where we can give people such a special experience that cannot be duplicated anywhere else in the world. I think we've got a great future in that. But it's a question of managing, marketing, exposure, which I think is what is happening right now with this sort of film, etc., that is absolutely critical.
You know, when you do conservation, you do for yourself, for the tourism, for the people as well, the communities. But if the tourist doesn't come to have a fund to the communities, then the community, sometimes they will not understand why you're doing this. But the more important thing is that we don't conserve the wildlife because of the tourists. No. So we conserve the wildlife because of the people. So that the tourists come and they will find why the lions goes on. Because if you said, no, I will just doing because of the tourists, with the tourists not there, you will stop. So when the tourists come, they will find the wildlife is gone. So I think for me, I can't say there's corona, I will stop my job to do. No, not at all. I'm still struggling to have that power to do my job very well. And also to come to the people to say, although there's corona, we must conserve our wildlife. If we try to conserve all the wildlife, then our children's generation, they will know what is this animal for. Why is it important in our area?
Tourism, to my mind, in all reality, is probably the most important element of conservation today. It gives value to the wildlife. Tourism is not only generating funding, but it's actually participating in conservation. So game drives are out there collecting information in a systematic way, which we are recording and building up on a sort of a long-term database on animal movements. The education value is enormous because we provide essentially factual information of the animals in their natural habitat and their whole ecological structure, and to be able to pass that quality and of information through to tourists that visit this area only elevates the importance of the place. The way we have structured it with the tour operators is that it not only generates interest, but it generates support, funding support, but awareness in a great level of the actual issues of the day, the really important conservation issues. For example, the human-wildlife conflict aspect is, as I mentioned, is really the issue of the day, and even tour operations that link with that and allow people to see the hardships that the local communities have to endure, and the initiatives that have been taken at that level to to monitor the lions. Each of the conservancies have lion rangers that have been appointed, and they work very closely with myself and the other operators in the area, and their skill levels have been increased. So it's a situation that really benefits people in a broad range, but it is quite effective in the sense of actually implementing conservation strategies alongside with the tourism developments.
The thing which everyone has to be aware of is that we cannot rely, or we cannot base our livelihood on one thing, just the old way. I think now diversifying on these livelihoods would be more important, especially on things that are more sustainable. Like for me, tourism and conservation is some of the most sustainable entities or things or enterprises to go in. So considering that, I think everyone has the obligation to really conserve and look after the animals. It's not only for us, I think, it's even for everyone overseas. For some people that plays a big role today, they are not local people only. They are people that put in money without any expectation, but expecting that lions and animals will be protected. That's all. I think for us also locally here, we need to get to that level of seeing the animal as important, even if it's not for us now, but for the generations to come. Maybe they will find good use for the animals, which we don't find now. So I think conserving and looking after the animals and ensuring that they they survive and so on is very much important.
Nowadays we understand more and more the negative and the positive impacts that we can have on the environment. It's important by contributing. What I mean is that you must first of all educate yourself and be aware of your positive and negative impact. For that you can get closer to conservation organizations like TOSCO, like Desert Lion Conservation, like Namibia Nature Foundation, like WWF, who can give even more information about that. And your contribution doesn't have to be necessarily financial. It's already about a behavior and about being responsible, enjoy this incredible, pristine playground in a fun way, but also in a responsible way. Spreading the word, talking to people, educate also your children about this chance that we have to travel in this area, especially for local tourism. Sometimes we tend to take it a bit too much for granted, and that it has always been there and that it will always be there. But if we don't look after it, it will not always be there. It's very important also to support community-based tourism. If you don't give to the local communities and the local people a benefit from your activity regarding wildlife, then there will be no incentive to actually look after it. We will not work for something if we don't get any benefit out of it, and which is completely normal. And I think it's important now to take this into consideration when we travel, and the responsibility and the ownership of wildlife environment belongs to the people who live with it. And living with it is not as beautiful as a postcard. It comes with big challenges that when we drive through it, we don't realize it. But to talk with people, to support them, to support their business, makes it much more sustainable. And actually, I think it's also the time that we change the perception of conservation. Conservation is not charity. It's not, you will not help conservation by just doing a donation. Conservation is more like an environmental service that you pay for if you want to enjoy wildlife and beautiful scenery. It comes at a cost to manage it, to preserve it, and this cost, it is this cost that we must support.
Well, now, I don't know because of drought, but when I see the future of the lions is coming really bit up, but because we beware the lions, we keep our lions on the normally way where we want to keep it. But now, just because of corona and drought, because now 5 years ago we are suffering about the rain, so that's why the farmer always, maybe they poison our lions or maybe they shoot our lions because of no grazing in the area. So the lion just comes straight to the houses to damage their livestock. So for some of them, they are not here. That's where they are killed. That's where they are poisons. But maybe if we get more rain, the lions, the number of the lions going up because they are helping themselves with the game in the field. But because of drought, now that's why I'm here. I'm just stay behind between of farmers and the lions, just to try the farmers not kill the lion and the lion not kill the livestock of the farmers.
I would think the most important discovery or finding of the desert-adapted lions is their utilization of the coastal habitat and the feeding on marine food resources. There is an enormous tourism potential and value in that. It's a growing development, and we, as much as we possibly can, we want to try and protect that and even promote the animals utilizing that coastal zone. And also it being the national park, the Skeleton Coast National Park, it's an ideal location to protect the animals within those habitats and that particular behavior, but then also to utilize it through responsible tourism, which could be an enormous benefit for Namibia, but then also really assist the lions in providing a safe environment for them. And all in all, we're part of the ecology, we're part of nature, and we all have to fit in. And when one party overuses it, everybody else suffers as well. And I do hope that in time we will be able to manage it slightly better. The communal conservancies in the areas have a huge role to play. Part of their areas consist of wildlife, designated wildlife areas. And tourism areas, and I think we can do a lot better by doing more cleverly plan the land use systems, both from a tourism point of view and from the community side.
We have the most incredible resources in this area. I think there's a global responsibility towards the resources we have. I think we have some massive challenges, but I think we're on the upbeat side of it. I really think we're making a difference. We just need some help in that.
These lions are just so unique in the area that they live. The behavior that they exhibit, the areas that they live in, is just so fascinating. So it's been a lifelong sort of passion. It takes so long. It's such a complex problem in such a difficult area that it essentially became almost like a lifelong study. And I don't really see it ever, we ever stopping the work. I would foresee even after, my time with them is over, I would imagine that it would continue. The value of lions to Namibia and the tourism industry is so important that I would think it will continue. And also the conflict situation is serious. So I think we are laying platforms now, and we've put systems in place and structures that really can continue after all of us are gone. And I think the government, the Namibian government, the Ministry of Environment does see it that way as well, and I think most of the tourism industries too. So I do think we are paving the way for a continuation of work on lions that will carry on for many, many decades. And it's never over. What we saw just in the last week of you being with me, the movement of those 2 lionesses, that Oegap male, it's like new discoveries. We didn't know they did that. So that's the exciting part of it. We will never stop learning, and we just have to carry on and get better at it and get better at our understanding of the lions.